still, and love was all we knew. You were the first, so was I. We made love and then you cried. Remember when? Remember when we vowed the vows and walked the walk, and gave our hearts, made the start, and it was hard. We lived and learned life through curves. There was joy, there was hurt. Remember when? Remember when old ones died and new were born, and life was changed, disassembled, rearranged. We came together, fell apart, and broke each other's hearts. Remember when? Remember when the sound of little feet was the music we danced to week, brought back the love, we found trust, vowed we'd never give it up. Remember when? Remember when 30 seems so old now, looking back, it's just a stepping stone to where we are, where we've been. Said we'd do it all again. Remember when? Remember when we said when we turn gray, when the children grow up and move away, we won't be sad, we'll be glad for all the life we had, and we'll remember when. Remember when.
Well, okay. Well, I want to welcome everybody to the Friday night, late night, little get together. So I've been planning on doing a show involving the days and the weeks leading up to the Delphi murders. And it's been so hard trying to find actual information about what took place. And I know that is an important part of an investigation, trying to figure out what the girls were doing, who they were hanging out with, what was going on with the people that were surrounding them, what was going on at school, who were they associating with secretly, things like that. So the more I looked, the less I found. That was until I found a video made by a like-minded person named Savannah, who has a channel called Don't Hate Create. And right then and there, I said, hey, you know what? I got to invite her over. She'll be perfect to help me kind of talk about, you know, the days and weeks leading up to that crime. So before I bring her up here, I just wanted to kind of play a quick little montage. She's probably going to hate it, but it's just some stuff that I put together. Hopefully, she will approve. So let's give it a try here.
What is Cody Patty's timeline? If you don't know who Cody Patty is, he is Becky Patty's nephew, whom they adopted when he was 13 because her brother went to prison, is what I have read
There was some
online.
shady deals going on sitting right there.
So some people were saying that they couldn't hear the last video, and it's basically just a bad recording because it's from far away and there's other stuff going on. And so I picked the most relevant section, like regarding the Delphi case, and I will tell you what they're saying as they're saying it.
So I just watched this like really short Mind Shock video, and he said like the only thing that we know for sure is that we don't know for sure. We don't know anything for sure. I think or something like that. And I like 100% agree. I feel like people get like all crazy and call people idiots just because they don't necessarily know about the case as well as the other person does because they haven't been following it for the last 4 years of their lives. Like that's not doesn't not make you better than anyone. And I feel like there's just so many inconsistencies in this story. It's just like
But to get the information, to find the people that we believe saw that person that day near the time of the murders, that takes months. So we had to locate these people, interview them, find out who they really saw. Did they really see the guy on the bridge from the video, or did they see Mike out there helping search, or did they?
This is from the press conference where they released the new information, like the new sketch and the word guys on Guys Down the Hill. And there's two ladies in this who totally, I feel like, know who the person is in that sketch, or at least I would love to talk to them. So watch and see what I'm talking about.
It came as a shock to everyone.
It's been 2.5 years. Why did they sit on this?
Frustration from the community after state police releasing significant new details on the investigation for the very first.
Look at each other right after they see it. Like, does anybody know who they are? I would love to know what that little look is between them and who was the first person that popped into their head.
Okay, and that's just a really small taste of what's going on. That's just stuff I wanted to put together real quick. I didn't have a whole lot of time to grab some more. I wish I did, but right now I do want everybody to give a warm welcome to Savannah Marie of Don't Hate Create. Hey, Savannah.
Hi. Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. That was a good little montage. It's always rough to see yourself on on video, but it was good.
Yeah, I can't stand it. I turn it off. I don't ever. Sometimes I'll rewatch if there was a really good guest or whatever, and then I'll like fast forward those parts.
Yeah.
Well, tell the audience a little bit about yourself. How long you've been into true crime and stuff about your channel, and what kind of got you interested in Delphi?
What got me interested in Delphi is I was watching Kendall Ray, and I usually watch like true crime and clean my house, and so I wasn't like watching it, I was just listening to it, and Kelsey is on that one, and I don't know, this is gonna sound a little bit rude, but the way she was talking was almost like, is my thing sorting out right now?
Your audio sounds great, but your video is a little glitchy, but I can hear you just fine.
Okay, cool. So I'll just turn my audio or just turn my camera off, and then it'll make it probably go through better. But I was listening to it, and just she said it was when she said that her grandma had called her, and then she had like missed or she didn't hear the first call, and then she heard the second call, and she knew that she needed to get a hold of her grandma because her grandma never calls twice. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense, you know? And so it really just made me like dive into the case. And then I don't know, the Delphi case just sticks with you because like I don't know, I was that teenage girl with my friend, just like when you're first getting your first taste of freedom, and then it's just it's so sad what happened to them. Like I just can't even imagine it. And then it just really sticks with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's really every father or mother's worst nightmare. Have you had anything like this happen or any scary encounters as a teen?
Um, Honestly, I was so lucky. I was a very like reckless teen. Like used to like hitchhike with my friends and stuff. And it seemed like they were just little babies, like just their first little taste of freedom, and it just seemed so impossible that it could be a random person that just happened to find them at this time. And then also just the timeline of the whole thing. It's so tight. It just I don't know. It
Something
drives me
doesn't add up.
crazy. Yeah.
What else? Like, what other things frustrate you about this case?
Um, One, that you're not really allowed to question the family. That's why I like started making videos in the first place, is because I was like,
Hmm.
nobody else is gonna question all these inconsistencies, then I have to say something about it. It's just driving me crazy.
Yeah, you got to make your own lane. If you're not going to be allowed in certain lanes, that's the same way for me. I'll make my own lane. That's awesome. Um,
Yeah.
what info do you think law enforcement should release, if any?
Um, I think that they should release the raw data of like the video and the pictures, because I think that it definitely can get lost in like I don't know if they have the picture of the bridge guy or the video like zoomed in or what, but I think that makes it lose a lot. And I wish they would just release it as it came.
I agree. Kind of give us an opportunity to just kind of take a look at it before anybody has a chance to kind of chop it up and mess with it. Um, Even if just to see it. I mean, I would like to see the video and how he appeared, in the distance, exactly where the girls were. Um, yeah, I agree with that. Do you think we're dealing with a cold case?
It's I'd say it's absolutely a cold case, and I think that they really like made some big mistakes by not releasing more info sooner, because I mean, how do you
Mhm.
expect people to remember stuff? Like it's been 5 years. It's coming up on 5 years.
You think they will?
Um, I I don't know. I think that this case is just super weird because I don't see, they always say that they want to keep the integrity of the case, but if you never arrest anyone, then there doesn't really matter what the integrity of the case is, because no you have no person to have a case against. Plus there's two girls, so I feel like they could try them separately if they really like were worried about like him getting off on something. They would have
Hmm.
like two shots at it at least.
At least. What can the
Well,
families
because
do?
they could get him for like kidnapping and stuff too. The families, I think it's a little bit like, I think it's a little weird that they're so supportive of law enforcement when there doesn't seem to be any movement on this case. So maybe like hire hire a private investigator and get someone out there asking questions.
Yeah, I agree. What do you think about the new building? Do you think there's something going on, or is it just their way of saying, "Hey, we haven't given up"?
I honestly don't know. I think it's really weird. I've never like I'm not like super into like law or anything. I've never seen them open a building for just one case alone. And so that's a little bit interesting. And then the lease they're talking about having it for years, so that's not exactly encouraging.
Does it seem like they might be trying to avoid corruption, or maybe somebody's like hidden hand in the case? Is that possible, or is that just the conspiracy theorist in me?
No, I I'm one for conspiracy theories as well, but I have to say that just the way Toe Pleasanby was being, he said he has to talk to his investigators and stuff. And at first I
Hmm.
was thinking, how do you not know what's going on in this case? But then I was thinking, like, maybe he doesn't know because they keep him out of it or something, because he said he was tipped in. So, like, maybe he really doesn't know what's going on.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, why do they have so much information? I also don't think the families have as much information as we think that they do.
I don't think that they have information. Like, I don't think they're sharing information. In fact, if anything, I think they keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I always
Yeah.
wonder if
Hmm.
that's why they like went on vacation with them and stuff.
Yeah, I'm thinking that might be the case. Because for Holman, I mean, this has got to be the biggest case of his career. If he can get this, this in the bag, he's good to go. Um, but real quick, Savannah, I want to go ahead and play your video if that's okay, and then we can kind of dive into that stuff regards to the
Mhm.
days and weeks leading up. You hit a lot of the points right on the head, so that'll give the audience a little bit better idea of where we're starting at, and then we'll kind of chat it up, and we'll see if anybody wants to call in and give you some questions. If not, we'll just open the discussion.
Okay.
All right,
This
here
is
we
a
go.
video of what the girls were doing the weekend prior to getting dropped off at the Monon High Bridge. So from that Friday beforehand until getting actually dropped off at the bridge on the following Monday, February 13th of 2017, as according to Kelsey German, Becky Patty, and a little bit from Tara German as well.
What was going on in her life January, February 2017? What was important to her at that time? What were you guys talking about?
It was swim season, so this was going to be the year that we swam together. It would be our first time and last time on the same team ever, so we would talk about that a lot. That it was her last year in middle school, so she was swimming, and so we talked about all the middle school drama that came along with sports, and a lot of she was really into sports, so she played a lot of sports. We talked about all of it, and so we talked about a lot about her freshman year that was coming up, and the things that she wanted to do, and the things she wanted to do together. And we talked about how she was in a big fight with one of her best friends, Abby, but one of her other ones.
Yeah.
And so we would talk about kind of like how she wanted to be their friend again and how she wanted to get back to where they were before the fight.
There's a lot of drama at that age, right?
Yeah, a lot.
Was it ever anything specific, or?
Not really. It was just like random stuff, like they'd fight over a boy or something.
Right.
But nothing like, it was all harmless stuff that like any middle schooler goes through, I think.
Did she fit in well at school?
She was one of the more popular girls.
Really?
She was into like all of the sports. She was friends with everybody. She was, there's like the cliques kind of thing. She was in all of them. So she was like a person that she had such a contagious personality that she was friends with everybody that would talk to her.
Did she have a favorite teacher, favorite subject?
Math and science.
Yeah.
Her favorite teachers this year were Mrs. Bramer and Mrs. Lang. They were her math and science teachers, and she made them gifts. So she like, for her science teacher, she did math and like blocks and made them into like the periodic table.
Oh yeah.
And then
Yeah, your grandmother was telling me about that.
Yeah.
That's smart. It's neat.
She was so cool. And then she did like one for a math teacher that said, I'm a math teacher, of course I have problems. She was super creative, so she like did stuff like that for everybody. She wanted to give to people, and her way of giving was art.
That's great. Yeah, there's this, my wife was telling me there's this whole thing called love languages. Have you heard about this? Where
Yeah, there's 5 of them.
Yeah, and gifting is one of them.
Yeah.
You know, what did she like though? What was her?
I guess I never really. I'd say she liked giving more than she liked receiving, so it wouldn't be really
The gifting.
the gifting.
Time.
Yeah, maybe time. She really liked spending time with people. So I guess that might be it.
What did she like to do for fun?
Everything. She played.
Other than the trampoline. I
We
heard
did-
about the trampoline.
Oh yeah, that was a big thing for us too. She spent a lot of time with her friends, so like we would go out and we used to geocache. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, yeah.
We used to do that. That's actually what we were doing the weekend. Everything happened like that week. We'd spent those 2 weekends, the one before and the one like right before. We went geocaching in like both times, and we would just go out on the trails around here and find them.
Was there a geocache at, is it, how do I say, Monon? Monon?
Hybrids.
Yeah, Monon.
We just call it hybrid.
Monon hybrid. Was there a geocache there?
There are 2 of them, but we promised that we would only do it together, so I know she wasn't looking for them. But it's at the beginning of the bridge, right underneath the railroad tie at the beginning, so you didn't have to cross it to find it. And the other one is on the side of the road, like as you drive there. There's one in the woods right there.
Oh. Why did she want to go to the bridge that day? Just to walk, or?
They want to go out there and take pictures. That's what we used to go out there like once or twice a month and just take pictures of everything. And that's what.
Like with her phone, or? So she was already ready, taking pictures. She had the phone out. I'm going to go out there later, but I've seen pictures of it. It's terrifying. I can't believe it's even like a public thing. There doesn't seem to be any rails or anything.
So, I wouldn't cross this bridge.
Is it too scary for you?
I was terrified. So Libby would force me to. She'd be like, come on, I really want to cross it. So she'd have me cross with her. I would crawl across the bridge.
Yeah, that's what I would probably do.
There's like gaps like this big in between. I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
She was like fearless.
The trains don't run there anymore, right? Okay. I'm picturing Stand By Me, where you're halfway through and you gotta...
Yeah, no, that would be way too scary, but... Yeah,
do people jump off there into the water in the summer? Like, is it too high for that?
It's way too high. It's like 62 feet.
Yeah.
And it's only like a foot of water at the bottom.
What do people go out to High Bridge for? Is it a popular like jogging place or exercise or?
Everybody goes out to they jog the trail to High Bridge, and then there's like family pictures taken there. People go out there to take pictures. Just the view is absolutely beautiful. If you can get like the first 5 feet, you're still above ground, and so that part's perfectly fine for me.
Okay.
And there's like a little ledge that you can just sit there and look over the creek, and it's beautiful. So people just go out there and look at it.
Is it, and like how popular is it for people from Delphi? Does everybody know about High Bridge?
People my age know about it, but I've found that people that, like, even if they went to school here and lived there their whole lives, there's people that don't know about it.
Do kids like to like hang out there and just hang out? Like, is that a hangout place?
Yeah, lots of kids do. Like, even that day, there were 10, 20 kids there when I dropped them off, and
oh,
even
really?
before. So.
There were that many people there.
But when I got there, like after my dad had been there, and I got there after, and we all started searching, there weren't as many as there were when I dropped them off. So I think maybe there was like a little lull in people there at the time everything happened. So there was just that. moment when it was just them.
Do you remember seeing anybody odd hanging out there when you drop people off? Anybody from out of town?
I only saw kids my age there when I dropped them off.
I would think a car. Well, I don't want to get into this conversation. What's your? It seems just we've talked a couple times, and I'm so glad you came up at CrimeCon because I never really would have gotten to know this case as well. You want to write a book about this, which I think you're probably the only person that should write a book about this. Have you started?
I have.
How far along are you?
It's really hard to write.
Oh yeah.
You get to a point and you're like sitting there crying because your emotions are coming back out. So I finally got to the point where we're in the police station, and it's the part where they're asking us questions and we're getting interrogated so many times.
Wait, you were interrogated?
Mm-hmm. Well, I was the last one in my family to see the girls because I dropped them off. So,
like, were they mean? Like, were they mean to you?
in the beginning, it was more of a, like, they thought they had run away, and so they thought that I knew where my sister was. So they just kept saying, like, they were doing that scare tactic that you learn about in criminology class. They say, like, somebody, like, you know where she is, you have to know where she is because you're the last one to see her. So they were doing that. They just did it a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm writing kind of about that and my feelings
Sure.
that happened in that moment.
That must have been frightening.
They were opposites. That's why they were so good together. Abby was very, very quiet when she would house. You know, you wouldn't even hear her. She spoke. She was very soft spoken. Libby, on the other hand, was quite outgoing. Didn't know a stranger, and she was nice and boisterous.
So.
Yeah. It may have been different somewhere else, but this is the Libby that I knew.
Oh, that's wonderful. And so they were both happy kids, having a good time, and I guess I want to say your typical tweens, almost teenagers, and just doing what girls do, right?
That is correct.
And Tara, I know that Libby and Abby spent nights at your house, and you knew them both very well. Tell us what you think of the girls so we can get a better picture of who they were.
Really, I think that Mom kind of stated exactly how they were. When Abby was here, she was very quiet. Libby, on the other hand, was very outgoing. Didn't know a stranger. Was very loud. Definitely not shy. So yes, as Mom stated, they were very opposite. But you couldn't ask for better girls.
And Abby was an only child. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about and everybody in chat. I know you have questions, so just hang on here. We're not gonna keep these nice ladies here for 5 or 6 hours. Even though we could, we won't. We'll make it a normal time here tonight. But now this happened February 13th, 2017, and it was a typical day. The kids were out of school. Is that right, Becky?
Yes. In our school calendar, we have snow makeup days, and it was a very mild winter, and they didn't use their snow days, so they didn't have school Friday or Monday. Friday, Libby had gone with me to do appraisals, so we worked together that day. And then Saturday, it's been a while, so I forget some of that.
No, I understand.
Tara, did she stay with you on Saturday? No. She was at Allison's on Saturday. Friday, was it Friday they stayed at your place?
We all went to the movies.
Yes. So, and then Sunday was when then Abby came over and stayed with us.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was chilly. I remember when they came in on Sunday, it had been chilly. It was freezing, absolutely freezing. Libby and I froze to death on Friday. And I think it was a little better on Saturday. Sunday, they went to the park to because Abby had gotten her softball equipment, and they had gone to the park to with Abby to throw the stuff. I do remember there's a picture of Abby, and she had a jacket on. So it was still chilly on Sunday, but then Monday it turned really, really mild. And
It was a Friday, and then Saturday they were like together pretty much all weekend, and then Sunday night, Becky, is that when Abby spent the night at your house with Libby?
yes.
Okay.
Now, together all weekend. They were together some. I don't think they Abby wasn't with them on Friday, were they, Tara? No. Okay. So she didn't. Abby wasn't with Libby until Sunday.
Okay. She didn't? Okay, till Sunday. So Sunday night they're together and they're at your house and they're having fun and they're doing the things that teenage girls do, almost teenage girls do. Anyway, Becky, if you could just tell us about that Monday.
It was like I said, it was a snow makeup day, and the kids, they slept in.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Tara was here too because my office is here and she works with me. So we were out working, and I do know Derek had gotten up. They slept in until about 9:30 or so, and Derek had made them pancakes.
And Derek is Libby's father?
Yes.
Okay.
And Libby, of course, she was in and out into the office and stuff several times. She came out and was sitting on the floor playing. We had just gotten a new puppy,
Mm-hmm.
and with the puppy, and I don't know what all was she talking to you about, Tara.
She just chit chat, just normal everyday chit chat. She had asked if she could come stay with me that evening because every kid in the neighborhood hangs out at our house. And Libby wants to be where everybody is.
The action, yes, where the action is, sure.
So we just sit and chit chat while she was playing with Tucker.
Mm-hmm. And then, so what made them decide to go to the park that day?
I think it was because there were other kids out there.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew these other kids were out there. And like I said, Libby wants to be where everybody is.
Right.
I think that's why she wanted to go, is because that's where everybody was at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Friends of hers, friends of Kelsey's.
Right.
All of my kids and their friends were all here.
Mm-hmm.
They were not at the bridge, and they had no plans on going to the bridge. They didn't even know that everybody else was out there.
Oh. They ended up, it was Kelsey, her older sister, that ended up taking them to the park, basically, right?
Yes.
And Becky or Tara, did they go to this park a lot? Is that something that they would do, is they'd go hang out there?
They would go out there, especially in the summer, because Kelsey and Libby both were into photography.
Mm-hmm.
And so was Abby. So because it was nice and there were kids out there, and that was just one of the things they did. There's not a lot to do in Delphi.
Right.
There's, you've got the park or you got the trails, and so that's what they do. And it was, like I said, it was just a beautiful day. The kids all wanted to be out, and when Kelsey came out and said, "Hey, I'm going to my boyfriend's house before I go to work,"
Mm-hmm.
and Libby stopped. She heard that, and she stopped exactly what she was doing and come in and said, "Hey, can will you take us? And then she, looked at us and said, can I go? And that's when I told her, well, you've got to have a ride back. We're working, and I can't stop to go pick you up in a little bit.
Right.
Well,
so then she took them, and who was going to pick them up? Who was the person that was going to pick them up?
Libby's dad.
Okay.
Derek.
Derek was going to pick them up. Okay. And so they go to the park, and then they were going to be picked up at, was it 6:30? Was that right?
No.
What time was it?
There was no set time. I had lost some pictures that I had taken, and I needed the pictures, so I'd asked Derek if he would go retake these pictures for me. And so that's what he was doing, and it was over to Frankfurt, which is about a half-hour drive from here.
Mm-hmm.
And he pictures right in town he needed to take for me, and then he was coming back. So we knew that was only good, and he had already left.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, he told me that when Libby called him, he was at Cutler, which is probably 15, 20 minutes from here.
Okay.
Left about 15, 20 minutes before them. And then Libby called him, and he said, well, when I get done, I'll swing by and pick you up. So they weren't going to be there more than an hour and a half or so.
Right.
Okay. So there's a bunch that I want to talk about that. But what would you like to kind of talk about, Savannah? What motivated you to make this video, and kind of walk us through kind of what we're looking at here?
Well, there's honestly, there's a lot of stuff in there. One, I think it's very interesting how all three of them, Kelsey, Becky, and Tara, all said that there was kids out there, like multiple kids, like implying there's a whole group of kids that were already out there, and that they already knew that they were out there. So that implies there was a little bit of planning. And I just, how come nobody saw them? Like, how nobody saw the girls? That's a little bit weird.
That's very weird. I remember seeing some type of, can't remember when it took place, but it was local news. And they were interviewing some of the friends of the girls, and they basically said, yeah, I know that some of our friends were out here, but I wasn't out here. She was like, I wasn't out here. That's all I know. But I know that my friends were out here.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we all know they were there. And who's Tara? These are two things that I caught in your video, and I've probably seen it at least 5 times. These are the two new things that I caught. Tara, what does she have, a little party house or what?
Right? Like, that's also something that I found very interesting. Because when I was like 13, 14, right at their age, is when I started getting into like up to no good. That's when I started discovering some things that I shouldn't have been around. And I just would go over to my friend's house, who her mom didn't really watch them. And so my mom thought I was like just being a good kid, but really I found a place where I could do whatever I wanted, basically.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Who is Tara? Is that the aunt?
Tara is, yeah, that's the aunt. And then just how she throws in that her kids weren't there when nobody even said anything regarding any kids of hers, so it's like when I walk in and my daughter's doing something she shouldn't be doing, and she'll be like, nothing, and I'm like, okay, obviously you're up to no good.
My hand wasn't in the cookie jar.
It's kind of what it reminds me of. Yeah, exactly.
Well, that kind of leads me into some of my questions that I wanted to bring up about this topic. Let's start here. The big fight. KG, she says, Libby had a big fight, not with Abby, and she also mentions a boy. She was asked, what do they typically fight over? She said, a boy. So my question is this: who is the girl that she's fighting with, and who is the boy?
Right. And that is something I'm not sure, but I'm not sure if Allison is Libby's friend that she stayed the night with, but I know that at some point somebody had said that Libby called Kelsey to come pick her up from her friend's house, which I'm assuming is Allison, just based on the other evidence or whatever around that. And so I'm not sure if like maybe they got in a fight and that's why Kelsey came to pick him up that day. But that's all kind of like speculation because I can't really figure out. There's also like a news broadcast where there's two girls and they say that one of them was Libby's best friend and one of them was Abby's best friend, and it's like I think it's the night where they're searching for him, but I can't find that clip and I've been looking for it everywhere. If anyone knows what I'm talking about, that would be cool.
Well, I have another clip I want to play real quick because it kind of fits into everything that we're talking about. Because it kind of seems like Abby was in a rush to get like her softball stuff together, almost like she's like, okay, Libby's down a friend, is down a softball buddy, possibly whoever she's fighting with. I need to step up and be, this is my chance to kind of, get more involved with my friend, get in there and some softball stuff. So I wanted to play this because it seems like it fits right into with what we're talking about. So,
Kent, before the tragedy near the Monon High Bridge.
She called early in the week and said, Grandpa, I'm all signed up for girls softball, and I'd like you to come down and take me shopping for a glove and a bat and shoes. And it was so warm down here. We got back to the hotel and we played catch out in the parking lot with her new glove, and then we went to the park and I got to pitch to her, hit her some flies, the whole old grandpa thing.
Among their last conversations, Grandpa shared this advice.
I told Abby, I said, you just work hard, practice. You might not get to play a lot, but just be part of it and work at it, and you'll get it. And that's how we left it. She was so excited about it, to be on a team with Libby and do all that.
Every year around the 4th of July, Abby spent a week at church camp in Michigan after spending 7 days with Grandpa. Their memorable outings included fireworks in Grand Rapids and horseback riding at the Double J Ranch. Following Abby's death, Grandpa made a tough decision. He honored their annual tradition by arranging for a riderless second horse wrapped in a wreath representing Abby's and Libby's favorite colors. Like in years past, he spent an hour on the trails.
It was really neat.
It was something you had to do.
Okay, so I just kind of wanted to share that portion of it. It kind of seems to fit in with whatever drama was going on early on in the week. It seems like maybe this was her chance to kind of step up to be the only best friend or something like that. I could be reaching, but I also thought it was weird. They showed a picture of Abby the day before, and she was still wearing the same clothes. I'm assuming that's because she stayed the night, right?
Right, correct. And that's one thing that okay, so like I've always thought, or I know that I've always questioned when the Snapchat was taken. And like people say that they can get all the info from Snapchat, which I don't think is exactly 100% true. I know at the beginning I really questioned if they had found her phone or not, because like they say they went out there to like take pictures and stuff, but they never show any of the other pictures. And I just think that would be like, I guess maybe it's like none of our business, but I think that that kind of would be helpful to see like other pictures. Like what took them so long to get to the bridge, and like Mike Patty had to go back up to his truck to make the call for the police, and so I always wonder if they got service on the bridge, because Cheyenne said she couldn't post her Snapchat until she got back to her car because she didn't get service. So I've always thought that like
They wouldn't have had the chance to
the
post
whole
it. That's what you're
Snapchat
saying.
photos are interesting. Yeah.
I got you. Like almost like they were taken the day before, and then when they left the area, then they were posted up. Maybe the in between Sunday and Monday.
I don't know. My mind's gone like a million places with this case. Like, I think like, what if like the kids were like trying to play a prank or something? Like Kelsey was in on it, and because Kelsey like I always think like why do her stories like not make sense? And then I thought like maybe Libby wanted her to drop her off somewhere else, you know, like, and so she didn't actually drop them off at the bridge, just something like that. Who knows? You know, because I'm like, she wouldn't be like lying about that, but like, what if she was lying about something early on, and then she kind of just got like trapped in this story that was like what she told early on, and then so she like has been too scared to like back out of it. I'm not really sure.
What are your suspicions? I mean, you obviously have some. What are they? What does your gut tell you?
I think that it's weird that Cody Patty has no. I would really like to hear from him. Like, I think it's weird that Kelsey crossed the bridge when they were initially searching for him, and then also got into the search party to search for them the second day. I think that seems interesting to me. I don't know. And then also like they never like as far as when the girls called Derek for a ride, that seems to be something that is it's just difficult to get the timestamp on, which like this timeline that we're making is based solely on what the family is saying, and in any other case I don't think that we would go by that timeline.
Yeah, we're going strictly off what Derek said.
Or what Becky says Derek said.
Oh, even better. What about the phone being reset?
I'm not sure if that like is. I don't know. It's really hard. It's really hard to tell anything because they don't let any information out.
This is a transcript here. It's actually from Gray Hughes. It was an interview with Mike and Becky. I'm going to read this part of this. Let's see. And I believe this is Becky here. She says, now I don't remember a lot of the walking because at that point in time I called AT&T because Libby had reset her phone the week before because it kept glitching. It just kept catching. It kept freezing up on her. So she reset the phone to factory reset. But when she did that, she didn't reset some of the different apps. So I called AT&T to ask them if they could ping or trace her phone, because if you have, you know, like that thing, trace my phone or whatever, it is as an app. They can do it. So what do you make of that?
I think that sounds. I think that is what AT&T probably would say. I could see that happening, like, and being on the phone with them forever, and then finding out that it was just like you had to have the phone to have that. But that's just you go through AT&T. I know that Apple has like their own service. I know that like just from hanging out with like the wrong crowd, that people would always say like not to steal iPhones or iPads and stuff because Apple themselves will find the phone for you. And so, but I mean that's something that like see going either way. Other thing I find very interesting is that there wasn't a set time for him to get there. And so he pulls up and he immediately gets out of the car and goes and looks for them, right? Which like I can imagine going to pick up a teenager and getting immediately out to look for him like something's wrong already.
Go
and
hiking.
then he calls, yeah, and what I've heard about Derek is he's not exactly like wanting to go hiking, but that I don't know him at all. So but then he comes back and he calls Becky at 3:30 before he's even searched the entire trail. So like he doesn't even know if they're missing or anything. So I just that part I think is a little bit odd too.
Well, I know that some phones also, like my iPhone, if I wanted to, I could delete like my family's iPhones. Like I have the option to do that. Like I can just delete everything on there. And I know some Samsung phones you're able to do that as well. I mean, is it possible, when they went and got all the devices and went and did all this, that they did something nefarious? That's crazy, right? To think that.
Like I feel like we're like not really left with much options but to think
Mhm.
like these thoughts because they don't give you anything, and just I don't think that that's a benefit to the case, like holding so much back, like especially at this point. I don't see the benefit in it.
And also, do you know anything about the people that were at the house? It sounded like maybe Tara was there, maybe an Allison, but I hear rumors of boys and all kinds of stuff like that.
I know that early on I'd seen an interview and Kelsey had said that her friends were there watching a movie, that they all had pizza and watched movies. And so I know that Kelsey's boyfriend, not sure who he is, but his little sister was Kelsey's best friend.
Wow.
And so I'm not sure, maybe it was like them too, but I really have no idea.
And no school Friday and no school Monday. So, I mean, they had this long weekend to get into all kinds of shenanigans.
Yeah, and like I don't know if Libby is always trying to stay away from her house, but to me it seemed like she was trying to stay away, and when she was there, she had her friend there. But that's based on 4 days, so really that's like you can't imply it for everything.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I want to see if the chat has any questions for you. We are coming up on the hour mark. I didn't want to take up too much time. I know it's late, and we scheduled a little bit later than I had originally scheduled with you, so I apologize about that. What technology is this? What are you referring to? Carol says, Sleuth Intuition. This is 2017, though. They may not have had that technology. Well,
I think it means about like being able to erase the phones.
yeah. And I think that they did, because I know Sprint did. I know even when I'm old, and then when I was younger, people would call in and we could just delete everything that was on their phone for them. So I'm sure Apple, they were the first ones to really create those apps to where you could do stuff like that on your own. I'm going to say it was possible. And Savannah, you can see these comments, right? Up here on the screen?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So if anybody has any questions for Savannah about her channel, Don't Hate Create, the link, it's in the description. But if you want to talk with her or send us some questions about this topic, or if you have anything to add, we're just trying, this is something we're both obviously, I don't know if she would consider obsessed, but I do at times. So I'm going to be spending time looking into it anyway. I might as well get as much information as possible. What do you think, Savannah?
Yeah. I think one thing I think would be very like beneficial is just to like try to like verify as much of the timeline as possible because I know when the girls were initially missing, they like, and I think even the FBI site says 1 to 5 is when like they had gotten dropped off at 1, like early on. I know that's what a lot of the things said, and that until 5 o'clock. And so one thing I wonder is like, is that timeline accurate or is the timeline earlier? Because in the CrimeCon uh, little interview with Ashley Bainfield, like she's amazing. She asked some hardcore questions. I thought like she was so good. But she they talk about the how they did sketches and that they eliminated people that were searching. But I feel like maybe that could be a mistake because how are they deciding people that were searching for them also were there earlier that people are describing who they should be describing? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because from what I understand, like right around 3:34 is when Becky reached out to Mike while he was at work. So if it's 3:34 o'clock and she reaches out to him and he says, I have to, kind of finish up real quick and then I'll head out. And he works in Lafayette, from what I understand. He's not going to be there until 4:35. So why would at that point it's a full blown search and everybody knows, what they're doing there. So why would they make that mistake?
Yeah, why
Is
would
my
anybody
question.
be describing him? Yeah. Like
Yeah.
anyone who saw him, wouldn't they have gone up to him and been like, we're looking for these girls? Like that's what I would think.
Mm-hmm. Or the police would already be kind of walking around and talking with him, and conversing with him. Not to mention, he didn't even act like he came and started searching right away. I think on his way home from work, he claimed that he instantly was searching on his own, and then kind of showed up at the trails and was like, "Yeah, I didn't see anything. I'm gonna head to the police station, or I'm gonna go here." And then he left. So why would they? That just makes him even further away from the trails for them to identify him as a potential sketch.
But then,
Source for the sketch.
like they didn't do the sketch until like 6 months later. So think of like all the like he did that press conference and stuff. So anybody who
Mhm.
saw anything on the case could automatically associate his face with it. So
Yeah, and I had a feeling that Holman didn't believe him. It was almost like he was pointing at him. Like, and I don't
he
think he
did
had
kind of
anything
call
to
him out.
do
I
with this,
thought,
but just his body language and he's just like, I thought it was you, you know. Yeah, that was
yeah, I was
strange.
surprised when he said that. Like it seemed like a little jab.
Yeah. Well, all right, Savannah, we're at the 1 hour point. I don't want to take up any of your time. I really appreciate this. I think this live will kind of give people something to kind of come back to, and kind of get an idea of what was going on, in those weeks and those days. And if they need to correct us or add something, hopefully they can leave some comments. I did leave the description to Savannah's page in the description. Make sure you go check her out. And if there's no other questions, anything you want to leave us with, Savannah?
I just want to say that like in no way am I like I am always open to people correcting me and like I'm just asking questions because this stuff doesn't make sense. I'm like in no way saying that I know what's going on at all. So I just want to put that out there.
For sure. And once again, hopefully we can meet up again. Maybe we'll have some more information. We can do a part 2. I plan on looking in a little bit further, maybe following up on some of the things we talked about, the whole tear up little party house, and who was, the girl that Libby was fighting with, and who was the boy that they were fighting over potentially.
Absolutely. Yeah, that would be cool.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to get out of
Well,
here.
thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. You're welcome. Thanks for joining us, and everybody have a safe weekend. Good night.
young and so were you, and time stood still, and love was all we knew. You were the first, so was I. We made love and then you cried. Remember when? Remember when we vowed the vows and walked the walk and gave our hearts, made the start and it was hard. We lived and learned life through curves. There was joy, there was hurt. Remember when? Remember when old ones died and new were born, and life was changed, disassembled, rearranged. We came together, fell apart, and broke each other's hearts. Remember when? Remember when the sound of little feet was the music we danced to week, brought back the love, we found trust, vowed we'd never give it up. Remember when? Remember when 30 seems so old now, looking back, it's just a stepping stone to where we are, where we've been. Said we'd do it all again. Remember when? Remember when we said when we turn gray, when the children grow up and move away, we won't be sad, we'll be glad for all the life we had, and we'll remember